Dogtooth was released in 2009 by Kino International. This is a Yorgos Lanthimos film, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I thought this was his directorial debut, but it is not. He did direct two Greek films before this one. And since Poor Things just came out in 2023, and Yorgos Lanthimos is coming out with another film in a row in 2024, which is supposed to be out soon. And because I enjoyed Poor Things quite a bit, actually, and because Killing of a Sacred Deer is probably my favorite film of his, and this director definitely knows how to make some interesting films, absolutely. Not all of them I enjoyed. I did not like The Lobster at all. I'm not really into period pieces, especially period pieces of the time that The Favorite takes place in, so I was not really into The Favorite either. And then there's some that I have not seen, the two that came out before this one, and I have not seen Alps either. But for all intents and purposes, he's quite the talented director. I can't take anything away from him. And I have seen this quite a while ago, and I found it to be extremely interesting. Like I said, I thought this was his first film. It's been a while, and I got this from the library, and I decided to revisit this masterpiece. Let's talk about it. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, and then I'm going to get into spoilers after. So let's start spoiler-free. We have this family living in Greece, and they live in this fairly rich looking house, but it's all walled in. There's a gate that the father goes out to work and everything, but the family stays home, the wife and the three kids. There's a son and two daughters, and they're seemingly homeschooled. They don't go out anywhere. They seem like they're in their 20s. I mean, possibly even early 30s, but all of the kids seem like they're in their 20s, and they are, for lack of a better term, sheltered. But sheltered is like, doesn't even come close to describing their situation. Really weird things start to happen. The father hires one of the security guards, who's female, at his work to come home and basically bang the son, and they have these homeschooling lessons where they teach the kids terms and words, but they completely mix them up. Like, they will purposely teach the kids wrong meanings of words so that they don't get corrupt. Like, they'll teach the kid that a zombie means like a yellow flower, and the C means an armchair, like a leather armchair. And the purpose of this basically is to shelter the kids as much as they can, and they make the kids like afraid of cats, for example, too. This film is a lot of things. A lot of people have dissected this to represent like some kind of civil war in Greece. I didn't do too much research on it, but it's also a metaphor of just how damaging sheltering can be, kind of thing. And this film gets bizarre. So that's the spoiler-free version. I do recommend you checking this film out and just having a wild ride if you haven't seen it before. But from here on out, I'm going to get into spoiler territory, so go watch the film if you haven't. But if you have, let's discuss it. At the beginning of the film, they're listening to this tape recorder recorded by the mother, and it's explaining words that don't make any sense. Carbine apparently means a bird, and so on and so forth. This woman, nobody is named in this film except for Christina, who is the security guard that the dad brings home to fuck the son. He doesn't seem very into her, not because he's not into girls, but he just doesn't seem to be into her, and she really has this, I guess, fetish and fascination for being eaten out, basically. And she keeps asking the son to do this for her, but he won't. And then she starts to ask the daughters to do her favors, those kind of favors, in exchange for gifts. So she will offer like a headband, and eventually she offers one of the daughters these videotapes, and the daughters have never seen videotapes before in their lives, and one of them, who makes the trade of doing this sexual favor for this Christina woman in order to get the tapes, she does, and then she watches these tapes and she starts to reenact the tapes, and you can tell that she's watched what's it called, Rocky, and I'm assuming Jaws by what she's saying, because she starts talking about sharks. And she mentions this character named Martin, so I assume it's Jaws. These films kind of open up her mind, but it's in a way that she's literally so brand new to everything that's outside of these gates that close them into this home. And as the movie goes on, the father begins to the father has brainwashed these kids to literally believe that they will only be able to face the dangers of the world when their dog tooth grows into the left side of their mouth, and on the left, like, it has to be the left side, and as soon as they grow their dog tooths in, which don't exist, so the the dad's purpose is to just keep these kids home forever. They obviously have never learned how to drive. There's a scene where, yeah, the boy is playing with a toy plane, that's it. And I think he starts fighting with his sister for it, and then somehow it goes over the fence. And then the dad comes home, and the thing is literally right over the gate. There's this plane toy over the gate. And the son's like, I lost the plane, can I get it back? And then the father gets in his car, literally backs up the car through the gate slowly, gets out of the car, picks up the plane. This is like right in front of the gate, so it's 5 feet from the house to the driveway, basically. Picks up the toy plane, gets back in his car, drives back through the gate real slowly, closes the gate, and then gives the plane back to his son. This film is just so... It plays with a good idea, but the imagination behind it, the sheer bizarreness in this film, there is, I would consider, pornography. I mean, when you have penetration, I consider that porn. So I get this film is probably unrated. It's also Greek, so laws are different and everything. But there's one scene in particular involving incest, which a lot of incest starts to happen in this film when the kids get curious, especially after and post videotape stuff with the sister, and after the trade-off of sexual favors with Christina. The kids very much start getting curious with each other. Kids, they're in their 20s. And yeah, there is a sex scene involving the brother and the sister. You see parts, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't staged sex. It looked like some penetration definitely happened there. You get a lot of scenes where girl is eating up girl. Now that looks staged. I could see how they could stage that part, but that one brother-sister sex scene, yeah, it looks quite real. So apparently pussy means big light. The girl at the dinner table, one of the sisters asks mom, what's pussy mean? And the mom's like, where did you learn that word? It means big bright light. So there's that. I loved the scene. I found this hilarious. When I think they're listening to a Frank Sinatra song, and this family has like a routine and ritual every night where they play some kind of game throughout the day, and then the winner gets to pick the entertainment. So, at one point the big brother picks like watching a movie or something. There's one part where they decide to listen to music, and they listen to this Frank Sinatra song. I think it sounds like Frank Sinatra. And it's English, and the dad starts to translate it, but he translates it into bullshit. Like, he just translates like, mom loves you, dad loves you, you're loved by our family, you are so special, yada yada yada. And he's translating into Greek from English, but he's making all this shit up. Frank Sinatra's like, I'm flying to the moon, and then the father will translate it to mommy and daddy love you, or whatever. Because he's the actor who plays the father, he's so convincing with it, and it is disturbing. Like, when you start to think about the concept of this film, on paper it's not funny, but when you, like, it's a really dark and sinister black comedy. I'm pretty sure this is one of those films that I think people put a lot more meaning into it, like I said, with the politics and everything, and what Yorgos Lanthimos could have meant with it, and maybe for all intents and purposes he meant something really deep with this film. But I just took it at face value, and I just took it as the corruption of the corruption of what could happen when you shelter anybody too much, when it comes to, extreme religion, extreme conservatism, extreme anything. Like, extreme sheltering can lead to chaos. And with the girl believing that when her dog tooth grows in, she feels around, and I guess she feels some kind of tooth that doesn't feel right, or some kind of tooth that's maybe crooked or longer than the rest, or something like that. So of course, she decides to get a dumbbell and just break it out because she's so sick of being in this house, and she wants to, after watching these movies especially too. She also changes her name to Bruce, I think because of one of the films she watched, and because they always play around with words in this movie, she just happens to change her name to Bruce, like in the third act. But regardless, she really wants to get the hell out of Dodge, and she breaks her tooth out to do that. And then when she loses her tooth, she goes and hides in the trunk of the dad's car, so that in the morning when Dad goes to work, she can go with him in the trunk while she's hidden, and then come out. But the movie ends pretty interesting in that Inception kind of way, where you see the spinning top. It just shows the trunk of the car, and then it cuts to black and cuts to credits. So you don't know if she was just asleep and wasn't able to wake up and get out of the car. You don't know if she, wasn't able to open the trunk because she locks herself in and she couldn't get out. You don't know if she died in there for some reason, like suffocated. Or you don't know if she also got out and closed the trunk and walked off, and they're just showing the trunk of the car after the fact. Like, you don't know. It just shows the trunk of the car, and you're left to kind of guess what happened. I just read here on my notes, vagina means keyboard. So they call the vagina keyboard. I love, what they decide to name these words is just so funny. Like, vagina, keyboard. Dude, has anybody ever played with a vagina like a keyboard? I can't say I have. I can't say I have. Maybe I'll add that to the list. I don't know. I love the cat scene when the cat comes into the backyard, and some things, it's weird because some things they just call it the way it is. Like there's an airplane that flies over the house all the time, and the kids are wondering like, ooh, what's this? But they just call it airplane, and they'll call a cat, except the dad keeps telling the kids and insisting with the kids that cats are extremely dangerous, and they eat children and they'll rip your skin apart, and they're the most dangerous thing in the world. So when this cat somehow ends up in the backyard, the son goes with like shears, and it just plays out so funny because he's slowly going to the cat and he's terrified and he's walking up with these shears, and then you have an animal death. So for people who are sensitive to that, there is a cat that obviously it's fake. Like, it shows the cat with like its intestine out, but it's a dummy, obviously. But still, it suggests animal death, and not everybody's going to like that. And then the dad takes this to his, or uses this opportunity with the cat to, he's at work at this point. He puts fake blood on himself, he rips his shirt, and he comes home and he says, I had to defend my son from a violent cat attacking him, and this is what happened to me. And he tries to show his kids how dangerous cats are by faking himself being hurt by a cat. But this is what I didn't get, because he mentions a dead son, and they even have a funeral for a son or their brother. But which one? Like, this was really weird. I even had to look up the plot online to see like what the fuck was going on here, because there's one son and there's two daughters, and then they mentioned a son being killed by a cat, but the son was right there, and no other son was ever mentioned in this movie other than the fact that he died and got killed by a cat. That was weird. It almost seems like a mistake because it was so weird. It almost seems like a flaw in the film, but I don't know. I didn't spend too much time thinking about it. I kind of just brushed it off. It is what it is kind of thing. But that is one thing that I didn't get in this film. Somebody correct me if it means like where this brother came from. Like, he just, in the middle of the movie, they bring up a brother that was never there that apparently got killed by a cat. I didn't really get it. There's a scene in the movie where the parents are watching a porno, and you see the porno, so that's another porn scene where you actually see a blowjob scene on a TV in the movie. And the mom mentions she's pregnant, and then they decide to tell the children that she is pregnant with a boy and a girl and a dog. So the bitch is having twins and a puppy, apparently. Kids just go with it. Oh, fuck. This movie was weirder than I remember it being. And there's some things in this film that I forgot that was in this film. Hey, Mom! I found these two beautiful zombies. Would you like me to bring them in for you? Because zombies mean yellow flower, as I mentioned. The videotape punishment was kind of disturbing to watch, especially on my first watch. I was like, holy shit, this is violent. When the father tapes one of the videotapes that the girl watched onto his hands and then just starts smacking her silly. I'm like, holy crap. Only in foreign cinema. I mean, You won't see this type of shit done in America. I mean, America's starting to kind of take more risks, but if you want to watch something very risque, go watch a foreign film. Like, that's all there is to it. They don't fuck around, and they are not shy when it comes to like nudity and sexual themes. And this film is loaded with sex and loaded with bushy puss. A lot of it. And I don't mean the cat. I mean the other kind. And incest, of course, because that was definitely uncomfortable to watch. You know, although the scenes are hot. Yeah. So yeah, that's really all the notes I took. This movie is freaking bizarre. I hope that anybody listening up to this point has seen it, because you know I kind of spoiled a lot for you, and you're not going to have as much fun with it. Knowing everything. Or maybe I did you a favor and now you don't want to get near this film. That too. I mean, that's a possibility. But it's definitely one of those films you should watch to just say you did. There's another note here. The two girls, they decide to play a game with each other, and they play really weird games, and then one of them is they decide to put some chloroform in some cloths, and whoever wakes up first wins. So they can pick the activity of the night. Oh, fuck. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy this film. I like Yorgos Lanthimos a lot, and it's cool that he got bigger budgets to work with and made stuff like Poor Things. Poor Things is weird, too. I mean, Poor Things, and with the sex, whew, man, does that film go for it. But yeah, he's a director that that likes to play with ideas and has one hell of an imagination. Man, does that guy have an imagination. So I don't want this to go too long, but yeah, like I said, I hope you've seen this already if you're watching up to this point, but if not, there you go. That's what it's like. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you'd like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.